Now, my next guests are a pair of brothers who found themselves a place in the charts in the late 80s with hits Labour of Love and Looking for Linda hitting the top 20. Pat and Greg Kane, better known as Hue and Cry, have gone on to release an incredible 16 studio albums, and number 17 is on its way. Before we speak to them, let's remind ourselves of their biggest hit. Oh, sorry, I'm just jigging away there. Please welcome Hue and Cry. Can't believe that's 25 years ago.
I can measure every single one of those 25 years. Thank you very much.
Takes you back. I'm sure plenty of people will be sharing that sentiment with me. When you go back to the start of Hue and Cry, because there was another band before, wasn't there?
We were called the Winning Losers.
Yeah.
But the guys in the Winning Losers threw us out of the Winning Losers.
And they lost.
And it turns out the losers won in the end.
Exactly, yes.
And so growing up together, obviously being brothers and being musical, was it inevitable that you were going to form some kind of band? Not
inevitable. There was a piano came into the house one morning, and being brothers, you know, when one does one thing, the other one does the opposite. So he got the race to the piano first, and because he got there, I rejected all things to do with the piano. So it was a matter of luck the way it turned out. He could have been the singer, I could have been the piano player. The way it
I don't think it would have been successful.
Well, you never know. You never know. You never know.
Or you being the piano player, that would have been.
Well, thanks very much. We've started already.
Yeah, is this the kind of, are we getting now a little kind of snapshot of your relationship then? Is it a little bit of bickering and banter that goes on?
Ever so slightly.
Yes.
Ever so slightly, but just because, out of deep love.
But somehow the working relationship's endured. I mean, you know, 16 albums, there's got to be a lot of respect there as well.
Well, I think we were talking about brothers the other day at a radio show we were doing, and they were talking about the Adidas and Puma brothers, and I hadn't spoken about that for a long time, and these brothers that work together just end up being fractioned and never be... We've never been like that. If it ever gets bad, we'll work hard to bring it back together.
Our mother is very forceful. She's a great uniter of the family.
Right.
And quite physical too.
A good Glasgow mum.
A good Glasgow mum.
And at the time, and the scene, the Glasgow music scene, was really vibrant, wasn't it? That kind of late 80s, early 90s. What was it like?
Well, there was lots of different bands. There were bands like Deacon Blue, Love and Money and Danny Wilson. And I think it was vibrant because there was a bit of a deficit in the country. You know, the very political time, and I think the bands sort of spoke a bit for people's aspirations in Scotland, where they wanted to go.
And Barrowlands was always like a very famous venue that everybody had to tour in, you know, so, you know, all the big English bands would go up and always go there, wouldn't they?
Oh no, I mean, it's a big deal, and we sold to about 1 million people over that period, so through the internet and through the new album Hotwire and the websites and hueandcry.co.uk, we're trying to reconnect with all these people, and you can do it in a way which is actually bringing you closer to the fans these days. Back then it was fine, you're on your big stage, you beam down to the audience and then they buy your records and we all go home. But nowadays, because of the internet, everybody's really having a conversation and connecting up, so it's quite an exciting time.
Are you kind of okay with that? You know, have you adopted all that media, the new media,
when we built our own social network called the Hue and Cry Music Club about 4 years ago, and we encouraged people to come. And when we tour, we asked them to give us suggestions for songs. And I posted up something called the Music Lab, where I explain how we make our music. He would do a lyrics lab, how he writes the songs, and it would be requested from them. So I mean, we've always had that relationship. We used to call them the little ordinary angels. They were the people that used to come and see us and support us. And
so when we do our UK tour, we don't have bouncers going through the audience saying, don't record this in your camera phone. We say record, record, record.
Spread it,
spread it, and you know, but what it does, some people are up for it. We're up for it because I think we're quite well balanced people. I totally understand artists who say, I'm on the ivory tower, leave me alone. I'll be mysterious for 4 years and buy my... I can understand that, but if you're wired differently, it's a very rich experience.
And what about your influences, and what kind of, you know, makes you want to write? How has that changed? Because, you know, people go through different phases in their lives, and, you know, they change as people. What's influenced this album?
Well, Hotwire, we've always loved funk and soul, jazz. So I'd said to Pat, do you mind if we commit to it this time and we'll do a funk record? And he said, well, I really don't want to do a funk record, I'd much rather do a ballad record. So
coin toss.
What usually happens is we find a compromise, but we couldn't find a compromise this time, so we tossed a coin.
You literally tossed a coin?
Yeah, so this one's good. This one's a hard, dirty 70s political funk record. The next one will be drenched in the strings and ballads, because I got the other side of the coin. But this one is, we're so proud of this, and I mean, it was interesting because we started writing it in 2008, you know, and the track you're going to hopefully play, Duty to the Debtor. So we wrote it at the time when the whole financial system was collapsing, and our great worry was, you know, by the time this record comes out, all this will be irrelevant.
Turns out not, yeah.
Unfortunately not.
Let's have a listen to Duty to the Debtor.
So when you pay your duty to the debtor, don't you let her escape. Everybody got a monkey on their back, just a damn weight of lead. So when you pay your duty to the debtor, don't you let them escape. Everybody got a monkey on their back, just a damn weight of lead.
Yeah, and in a way, it's a shame that it is still so relevant, isn't it, 4 years on? But,
but it's an optimistic record. It's a kind of can-do optimistic record, and you know we want.
It feels good, doesn't it?
It feels good, but there's messages there. There's a song called Hand in Heart, which is just all about people coming together, defying financial weather to push themselves forward. So, you know, you've got to give a bit of hope in hard times, but there's no point in not recognising that they are hard times, because they are.
And you've been heavily involved in the SNP, haven't you, over
Yes,
the
I
years?
have, yes.
Are you pleased that it looks like a referendum is coming?
It's an exciting time. It's a positive thing, and I think it will be good for the whole island. You know, because I think Scots want to go off in a particular direction, which is a sort of fair, equal direction, and I hope a lot of other people in the rest of the island will say, well, we want to go in that same direction.
Do you think the referendum will produce an independent Scotland? I
think so, but you know, it's a totally democratic process, and the argument is to be won, and whatever the people say is what should happen, and that's it. Democracy is the ultimate value.
If they can agree on the actual question that goes on the ballot paper in the
Here's
first
hope.
place.
Well, eventually we'll get that's detail, but the point is
it's going to happen.
Something's going to happen, and I think something's good is going to happen, whether it's independence or not.
Do you disagree on your politics?
No, I'm very proud to be Scottish, but I've enjoyed being in London. We've been doing a lot of promo. You know, we're playing in London on the 26th of May in Islington. I love coming to London. So I mean,
I live half the time in London. My partner's in London, so.
So I like the English people. I've got lots of friends, and driving down here, you go through the northern cities of England, and as a musician, you're very lucky. When you tour, you get to see the country, and you get to meet the people, and you get to hear their stories. So I mean, I love Britain.
Well, you're not going to leave completely. We're not.
No,
we're not going to cut you off and push you up into the North Sea.
It's not as if there's a big Saw's going to happen with all the Clyde shipyards, and we're going to go floating off into sunnier climes now. That's not a bad idea.
No, interesting times. Yeah, we're talking about the wetness of Glasgow, about how amazing Glasgow is as a city.
You were talking about that.
Yeah, if only could have just a little bit less rain. Guys, thank you very much. Are you into your art? I like the artwork on the cover. Do you like artwork?
Well, I love artwork, yes. Okay. Do you have artwork to talk about?
We're going to be discussing it in just a moment, because studies have shown that giving children with very low self-esteem the opportunity to express themselves through art can really help them to achieve more. So we sent Kate McIntyre to find out how one school with a royal connection is helping young people get on in the world. Tell us later on. After the break, 80s pop stars Hue and Cry on a quarter of a century in the music business. And they're still looking enthusiastic, guys, aren't you? Yes. And we're finding out how art lessons are helping children overcome trauma and setbacks in their lives. So find out why the Duchess of Cambridge has become involved with the art room after the break. Welcome back. Still to come this morning, I'll be meeting Tiny, the 7-foot, 8-inch British uses art as a way of helping children who've had emotional and other problems. We've been asking you to send in your children's pictures, your children's artwork, and this is from Charlotte, who says, this is my son Henry's, he's 2, and it's a drawing of some bears. I love it because there's an exciting story going on when he's drawing. This one has the bears going to the beach. He's got such a good imagination. That's fantastic for a 2-year-old. It's brilliant. And Caroline says, this is my son Alexander Duffy from Coventry with his painting of a tractor. Oh, what's cuter, the picture or him? And Neil says, this was drawn by Mila, my 3-year-old daughter, as we sat in the window of the ferry boat inn in Ditcham overlooking the River Dart, and she called it Boats, Boys and Sun. you like it as much as we do. We do. Thank you very much. Keep those coming in if you will. Now my next guests are a pair of brothers who found themselves a place in the charts in the late 80s with hits Labour of Love and Looking for Linda hitting the top 20. Pat and Greg Kane, better known as Hue and Cry, have gone on to release an incredible 16 studio albums, and number 17 is on its way. Before we speak to them, let's remind ourselves of their biggest hit. Oh, sorry, I'm just jigging away there. Please welcome Hue and Cry. Can't believe that's 25 years ago.
I can measure every single one of those 25 years. Thank you very much.
Takes you back. I'm sure plenty of people will be sharing that sentiment with me. When you go back to the start of Hue and Cry, because there was another band before, wasn't there?
We were called the Winning Losers.
Yeah.
But the guys in the Winning Losers threw us out of the Winning Losers.
And they lost.
And it turns out the losers won in the end.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so growing up together, obviously being brothers and being musical, was it inevitable that you were going to form some kind of band? Not
inevitable. There was a piano came into the house one morning, and being brothers, you know, when one does one thing, the other one does the opposite. So he got the race to the piano first, and because he got there, I rejected all things to do with the piano. So it was a matter of luck the way it turned out. He could have been the singer, I could have been the piano player. The way it
I don't think it would have been successful.
Well, you never know. You never know. You never know.
Or you've been the piano player. That would have been.
Well, thanks very much. We've started already.
Yeah. Is this the kind of? Are we getting now a little kind of snapshot of your relationship?